Hello everybody, Wannabe Reviewer here, and welcome back to the Wannabe Podcast, episode 36. Before we begin this week's podcast, really quickly, I just want to give a big, heartfelt thank you to anyone who showed up to my stream this, last Wednesday that just passed. For anyone who doesn't remember, during last week's podcast, I said that I was going to be on twitch.tv streaming Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. And yeah, sure enough, on Wednesday, sat down, played the game, and from what I saw, there was a few people that showed up. Maybe some of you showed up, but you didn't really write anything in the comments. I mean, if you did, sorry I didn't notice you. But for those of you who, did write to me and interacted with me, there was the Legend of Jonathan. He was there for almost the entirety of the stream, so that was awesome. Slim from over at Midnight Monster Party, he showed up for a little bit at the beginning. I really appreciate the support. And Terrific, of course, he was hilarious because he was there during different parts of the stream, and at some of the points he was actually hiding in a corner at work so he could sneak a little bit of the stream in. So that was hilarious, But yeah, to those three for sure, who I saw that were there and they were interacting with me back and forth on chat. Really appreciate you guys, big thanks. And if there was anyone else there who watched the stream but didn't chat with me, if you were there, I appreciate it the same. And yeah, for those of you who didn't catch my stream, I hope that maybe you guys tune in for the next one. For sure, I had a really fun time with it. And I do think I would like to stream, maybe once, twice a week. I think that would be fun. For sure, this last stream that I did, I'm going to try to upload it to YouTube, maybe on Monday. That way, anyone who missed the stream, maybe they could watch it, kind of get an idea of what I was playing and stuff. But yeah, for sure, streaming is something that I would be interested in doing. So I would say keep an eye out for that. I'll try to, like I said, maybe next week, on Tuesday or something, maybe I'll stream again. So yeah. With that being said, that's part of my week, but I did have other stuff to my week. So, let's switch over to that, I guess. So a big part of my week this week was that I, as always, watched lots of anime, and 3 of them actually just ended this past week, The first one that I want to talk about is Dororo. Basically, Dororo is based on this old manga series from I want to say the 60s, and I believe shortly after the manga was made, there was an older anime series, but it was very. If you've ever watched or seen or read Astro Boy, it was in that style, where the characters have really big eyes and they're kind of chibi looking, that sort of thing. This version of Dororo though, what's cool is that it's a more mature, darker take on it, and I think it actually worked really well, And so basically the whole series is about the setup is, that Hikakumaru's dad basically sells him out to the demons. So Hikakumaru's born without any limbs or skin or eyes or anything. And so when Hikakumaru's old enough, he takes it upon himself to defeat all the demons so that he can get his body back. And on his journey, he meets this little kid named Dororo, and so it becomes kind of a monster of the week sort of thing, where each episode they're fighting different monsters, and when he fights certain monsters, he gets his parts back. So, he fights a monster and he gets back his hearing. He fights another one, defeats it, and he gets back, his flesh, on his body, that sort of thing. And yeah, I liked it. I wouldn't say it's the best show. I do feel it kind of suffers a little bit from the monster of the week sort of thing. It gets a little repetitive or whatever. I do feel the ending felt kind of rushed. I don't know. I feel maybe they could have used a couple more episodes for the ending, but the way it ended, I would say it's satisfying. It does make sense for the story itself and stuff. And yeah, overall, I did enjoy the show. I thought it was really good. I thought, there's this inner conflict in Hikikamaru because he wants to kill all the demons. But then, as he's killing demons and he's killing people who are working with the demons and stuff, there's this worry about whether he'll lose his humanity. So, I thought that was kind of a little interesting aspect to the story. I thought the relationship between Hikikomaru and Dororo, you know, that like sibling sort of relationship. I thought that was really interesting. And so, yeah, I liked it, you know, and I think I haven't seen the old anime series, but having looked through the manga and having read up on what people have said, you know, comparing this to like the older stuff, it seems like it did a pretty good job of being more mature and like darker in tone. So, you know, props to them, because they could have tried to adapt it and made it like overly edgy, or they could have like lost some of like the original themes and stuff, but they actually did a really good job of bringing it up to snuff, you know, of it being darker, more mature, like better graphics, that sort of thing, but still being a really good series. So overall, you know, I would recommend the show. I think it was a fun watch, and I think, you know, that, like I said, it does have some flaws, but I don't think it's enough to like ruin the show. So I'd say check it out, you know? It's a total of 24 episodes, and unfortunately I don't know where you can watch it. Like, I had to like, you know, look for it online because it wasn't on Crunchyroll or anything like that. But if you can get your hands on it, I'd suggest watching it. I think it's pretty good, so check it out. Moving on, this is another anime series that, I mean, it ran for quite a while. I mean, I first talked about it, I want to say like 2 anime seasons ago or whatever, and that was Rising of the Shield Hero. And Rising of the Shield Hero, I mean, I'm going to be honest, I feel like it's very mixed, and I have very mixed opinions about it. For anyone who needs like a refresher, Rising of the Shield Hero, it's an isekai, so that means, you know, stuck in another world, and it is, you know, kind of like a game world. But yeah, Rise of the Shield Hero, it's the one that starts with our hero, like in the first episode, he is trying to form a party, only one person goes to his party, and it's like this cute redhead girl. And then, like, unfortunately, after them traveling around for a while, you know, like a couple of days, she basically accuses him of raping her. And because of that, everyone's disgusted with him. Nobody wants anything to do with him. The king literally says, you know, if it wasn't for you being one of like the legendary heroes, you would be executed, this and that. No one's listening to him. So he becomes like a loner, basically. And I mean, it's a really weird way to start the series. You know, like the whole rape thing is just kind of like, it's kind of icky, you know, it's something people don't really want to like touch because it's a touchy subject. But, you know, luckily it doesn't focus on that too much. From there, it basically just moves to, okay, nobody likes him. He's like an outcast, right? Unfortunately, though, I feel like as the series progressed, though, it just became very generic. Like what started off as this kind of like darker story about being stuck in another world and everybody being against you and you having to like fight for everything in your life, you know, to like level up and buy items, that sort of thing. It sucks that it just became very generic. Like, you know, his first party member is the little raccoon girl, and, you know, he buys her as a slave, which once again, like, it was dark, you know, and so that's what made it interesting, like, kind of like the morality of, like, he's buying a slave, but he is treating her right, and he's raising her up, so, you know, like, there was, like, a balance there. It was interesting. But then, like, within a few episodes, you know, like, she grows up, and she looks like a woman, and she's, like, in love with him, and she basically becomes, like, a cute waifu, blah, 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 and then his second party member is this little, it looks like basically like a chocobo, but, you know, she can transform back and forth between her human and bird appearance, where when she's like a human, she looks like a little girl or whatever. And so, like, there was just more of that, like, oh, you know, they're introducing like more people to his group and they just happen to be girls and they all kind of have like a crush on him. Great. And so, I don't know, I just feel like the series just became very generic and it became kind of boring. And as it went on, it just became kind of awkward because it's hard to explain. I mean, you would have to watch it, but it's just the kind of thing where it started off like dark, it started off interesting, I felt like it had something to say, and then it just became like every other isekai anime. And along the way, you know, even stuff that the characters were supposed to do, it feels like they lost track of it. You know, like at one point, the main character and his party, they're going to travel to like this other, I don't know what you would call it, like this other town that's like a distance off so that they can level up. Because in the nearby town, nobody wants to, like, you know, pay them their services or whatever. And so it's like, okay, they're gonna go over there so they can level up. But then like on the way there, they get distracted by like the Chocobo Queen, and she's, I don't know, giving them an ultimatum where she wants the main character to like get along with the other heroes. And I don't know. It's just super weird. Like, it's hard to explain, but all I'm gonna say is that I did feel that the series was disappointing. Like, it started off like pretty promising, but as it evolved, as it kept going, it just got more and more disappointing. Like, the fact that everyone would always look at the main character and always tell him to apologize and tell him to try to get along with the other heroes when the other heroes are the ones accusing him of terrible stuff. Like, it was just stupid. And the fact that there's like, like the Chocobo Queen, she's like all powerful or whatever, but yet she doesn't take the time to talk to the other heroes and be like, hey, try to get along with this guy. He didn't do anything wrong. Like, everything just falls on like the main character's shoulders, and it's like super stupid. And even the ending was weak. Basically, without ruining it, they defeat the final boss by running out the clock. Like, I'm serious. They're in the middle of a fight, and there's like a timer, and they just wait for the timer to run out, and then like the boss just basically leaves because time's up. And that's how it ends. So I don't know, man. Like, I don't recommend the show. I think it starts off strong, but it really, really like gets worse as it develops, So Rising of the Shield Hero would not recommend. I just think I think there's stuff that's better with your time. So yeah. Finally, the last anime that I watched that ended this, season that I want to talk about was the Helpful Fox Senko-san. And once again, this is one that I did talk about quite a few weeks back. Senko-san is the series where there's this salaryman and he's really stressed out from work. And he's so stressed out and he's so, upset about his life that when he's walking around, there's literally like this dark aura around him. And so in order to make him feel better, there's all these like fox demigods that are watching from like a different dimension. One of the fox demigods named Senko-san, she volunteers to go, take care of him. And so when the main character gets back to his apartment, he sees there's like this little girl dressed like a fox there. He thinks he's in the wrong apartment, but no, she says, I'm a fox god or whatever, and I'm here to help you. I'm going to pamper you to make you feel better. And yeah, that's basically what each episode's about. It's about this main character dealing with the frustrations of his job, and then Senko-san making him feel better. Whether it's like cooking him meals or cleaning the house or, trying to do stuff for him. Yeah. So when it comes to this anime, like, don't get me wrong, I do still feel that it's very pandering and it is very awkward how Senko-san, like, oh, she's this kawaii waifu who takes care of you and makes all your troubles go away while looking cute. Like, it is still very pandering and it is still weird, but at the same time, it was also surprisingly wholesome, And I'm glad that it never like crossed the line, because like their like relationship is mostly pretty platonic, because it could have easily gone into like this weird territory of like there being like a romance and her acting like an actual like wife, but most of the time, like their relationship is pretty platonic. And like as you watch it, you do see the friendship between them. You do see how, not only is it like a one-sided relationship where the main character is getting like everything from this little fox girl because, like she's cooking for him, cleaning for him, whatever. But I don't know. I mean, he kind of teaches her about stuff like TV and video games. And because she sees that he wants to like eat certain dishes that aren't like, traditional Japanese dishes, she tries out making new food and she like enjoys it because she learns something new, that sort of thing. So it's weird because, it's an awkward anime, definitely pandering, but it is more wholesome than I expected. And seeing like the friendship between them was interesting. So I don't know, I mean, if you like kawaii stuff, I guess I would recommend it, if you like chill slice of life stuff, I guess give it a shot. You'll probably enjoy it enough. But yeah, if it's one of those things where you can't really stand slice of life type anime or stuff where, a whole episode just focuses on people, deciding what they're going to eat and then making it and, whatever, then yeah, this isn't the anime for you. But overall, I'm just surprised because it was better than I thought it was going to be. So, hey, props to the show. It actually kind of surprised me. So there you go. Alrighty, moving away from anime and over into video games. I did mention it, at the beginning of the podcast, but this week I played quite a bit of Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. For anyone who missed last week's podcast or, I don't know, is new to the podcast, I know I've mentioned this game before. It's a game that I helped kickstart like 5 years ago, and it finally came out, but yeah, long story short, Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, it's out now on like every system, and I've enjoyed it. I've had a lot of fun with it. For anyone who doesn't know, it's a Castlevania like spiritual successor. So it's the kind of game where you run around like a huge map and, you're platforming, you're defeating enemies, you're getting power-ups. Certain power-ups help you unlock like different parts of the map you couldn't access before, that sort of thing. And yeah, I've just had a lot of fun with it. I think it's a really fun game. I think it feels just like a Castlevania game. Like it literally fits right in. So I think that's really cool. And yeah, I'm just like really enjoying that it has a lot of stuff that I didn't expect it to have. Like not only does it have, like the platforming, the running around the map and defeating enemies, that sort of thing, but it has a lot of mechanics that I don't remember like seeing back when like the Kickstarter was up. But it has like an interesting crafting system where like every time you fight an enemy, there's a chance that they might drop some like resources, and you can actually use those resources to make stuff like food and weapons and items and that sort of thing. So like I think that's really cool. There's all sorts of side quests, which I thought was really interesting. Like not only is there side quests like, defeat a certain amount of monsters, but there's side quests like bring a certain type of clothing to a person, and then they'll give you like a reward. And there's like this other side quest that's this old lady where she keeps asking you for different types of food. And so basically, you need to find like the ingredients to make the food, cook it, and then bring it to her. And like she gives you items too. So yeah, I just think the game is like really fun so far. Like I really recommend it. Like if you love Metroidvanias, if you love the not old school, not necessarily like the NES era, but if you like Castlevania games like, Symphony of the Night or Aria of Sorrow, that sort of thing, I think you'll love this because it feels like right at home. And yeah, like I said, I've been having a great time with it. I'm not gonna lie, I did play it a bit off stream because I just, couldn't help it. So I made like a new file and I've been playing like a little bit off stream. But for sure, I plan to go back to that original file and, play it more on stream and, show it off for anybody who wants to watch because, yeah, I'm just really enjoying it. I just really love it. So do I recommend it? Yes, very highly. I've been playing on Switch. I think it's fine. I've heard that the PS4 and PC versions are even better. So there you go, But yeah, overall, really enjoying my experience with it, having a ton of fun with it. So I'd say check it out. It's a really good game so far. Alrighty, folks, and there you have it. That is basically my week this week. I wasn't filled with too many things, just the usual, watch lots of anime, play Bloodstained, because like ever since I got it, I've just been kind of obsessed with that game, but all the same, hopefully that gave you guys some ideas of something to play or watch, so there you go. And yeah, I know that anime, a lot of them are kind of ending, and we're like right at the cusp of a new anime season. So, for sure next week, I'll probably have more to talk about, either animes that are ending or other ones that are starting. So look forward to that, Moving over to the news, we have a good little batch of news stories this week. The first one, which is something that just came out like yesterday or the day before, is that Pokémon Masters has been announced. And I don't know how many of you have seen the trailer, but it looks pretty interesting. And the gameplay itself is something pretty unique for the Pokemon series. I'll try to read through the article, I guess, so I can kind of give like a better understanding of it. But it says right here, announced last month and due out on iOS and Android this summer, DNA's Pokemon Masters has players forming teams of famous Pokemon trainers and their partners for 3-on-3 battles on the artificial island of Paseo. Fresh details on the game highlight its strong focus on the trainers behind the Pokemon. And then it says, next paragraph, Pokemon Masters is not about catching Pokemon. It's about catching famous Pokemon trainers from the long-running game series. Rather than forming a team of adorable monsters, each trainer in the game brings a single Pokemon into battle. Water Gym Master Misty, for example, comes with Staryu. They're what the game calls sync pairs. And the next paragraph, players create teams consisting of 3 of these sync pairs and take them into battle. Trainers in the game are aiming to become the champion of the Pokemon Masters League. To do this, they must go on a journey across Pasio collecting badges. So yeah, this game's different because unlike other games where it's all about catching the Pokemon and, forming teams and making your way to the top, here it's focusing more on the trainers themselves, which is an interesting aspect. And yeah, if you watch the trailer and if you look at a lot of the images and stuff, it looks like they're bringing back basically every trainer from, the Pokemon video game history. They have Red and he has a new appearance. He looks a little bit older. They have Brock, Misty, all of those Gen 1 gym leaders, and they have, all the gym leaders from other generations and all the Pokemon trainers from other generations. So, I don't know. It seems interesting. I think it is kind of a cool concept where you go around, collecting different trainers and each one has a different Pokemon tied to them. And so it's about strategizing okay, if Red is tied to Charizard and I'm fighting a team that consists of, a electric Pokemon and a water Pokemon and a ground Pokemon, who else do I team up with Red, to fight this team? I do think it's interesting because it still has some of that, strategy. And I do think it's fun that they're focusing on the trainers themselves, I think it's a cool concept. So yeah, on that hand, I think the game looks cool. On the other hand, though, with it being a mobile game, that's the part that's kind of a mood killer because, mobile games aren't always the best. Sometimes gameplay can be very, about waiting for gauges to fill up and downtime and microtransactions and gacha-like systems of trying to unlock trainers and stuff. So I don't know. From what I've seen, the game looks fun, but it does have those mobile game aspects. So I don't know. I'll wait till the game comes out or we have more information to see if it's something I'd be interested in playing. But yeah, for now, if that sounds interesting to you guys, link is in the description below. You can watch the trailer, you can read up on the information, and I don't know, maybe this is something that interests you guys. And if it is, then, look forward to it because it's coming this summer. So there you go. Moving on, I thought this next little news story was an interesting one because I just played the game very recently. So seeing that the game is coming to Switch, I was like, hey, that's perfect. So I can talk about it. So what I'm referring to is that, as the title of this article states, What Remains of Edith Finch coming to Switch on July 4th. So yeah, if you guys remember, it was only I want to say maybe 3 weeks back that I had just played this game for the very first time and I couldn't recommend it enough because I thought it was really good. And so seeing that it's coming out on Switch, I think that's great because the more people that can access this game and play it, I think the better. Of course, for anyone who doesn't know what I'm talking about and what Remains of Edith Finch is even about, luckily they have a little excerpt here that says what the game is. So it says, What Remains of Edith Finch is a collection of strange tales about a family in Washington state. As Edith, you'll explore the colossal Finch house, searching for stories as she explores her family history and tries to figure out why she's the last one in her family left alive. Each story you find lets you experience the life of a new family member on the day of their death, with stories ranging from the distant past to the present day. The gameplay and tone of the stories are as varied as the Finches themselves. The only constants are that each is played from a first-person perspective, and that each story ends with that family member's death. Ultimately, it's a game about what it feels like to be humbled and astonished by the vast and unknowable world around us. So yeah, that hopefully gives you guys a picture of what the game's about. I know that walking simulators, so to speak, I know that they have a bad rap because people, I don't know, they just feel like they're lazy and they think that they're boring because you just walk around and you're exploring. But trust me, this game, it's in a league of its own. I wouldn't even call it a walking simulator, even though a lot of people have. I wouldn't even call it that because not only do you walk around exploring and the tone is just great, but as you play as each of the different characters in Edith Finch's family, I mean, like the little excerpt just says, you play from a first-person perspective. Every person you play as is different. And yeah, I mean, it's just such an interesting game. Like, I can't stress it enough, you know? Like, honestly, I'm thinking that at some point, maybe I'll even stream it, you know? I think that would be an interesting game to stream so everyone can watch me play it. But, you know, I do suggest playing it first, but I like the game enough that I think I would stream it so that people can see what I mean, you know? But yeah, all that aside, I know I'm rambling a bit. It's coming to Switch on July 4th. So if you have a Switch and you've heard about the game and you're thinking of playing it, then there you go, you know? I would say check it out because it's a really good game. And like I said, I think it's awesome. I think it deserves as much attention as it can get. So yeah. Moving on, while this is a game that I haven't played, I have heard about it quite a bit, and I am interested to play it. So, as the title of the article states, New Super Lucky's Tale, What's New? Trailer. So for those of you who didn't watch E3, during E3, I want to say it was the Microsoft? No, what? Actually, I don't remember, but I know it was during E3. They had an announcement that New Super Lucky's Tale is coming to Switch. So for those of you who don't know, Super Lucky's Tale actually started as like a VR game, I believe for like the Oculus Rift, or I don't know if it was the Oculus Rift or the HTC Vive, but the point is, Lucky's Tale started as a VR game. And that's actually where I first heard about it. Because when I saw it, there was like this little VR game where, you know, it's like a little platformer and you control as a little fox and stuff. Like, that always interested me. You know, even though I don't have that VR headset, I still thought it seemed, you know, really cool. And I guess after that, at some point it hit Xbox. And on Xbox, you know, it's not VR or anything. It's just your standard 3D platformer. But, you know, once again, you know, just hearing about the game again, I thought, you know, hey, that's pretty cool. It's a shame that I don't have an Xbox because I like to play that, you know. And luckily, you know, for me and for anyone else who has a Switch who, you know, has been maybe looking at this, the game is coming to Switch as New Super Lucky's Tale. And so if you watch the trailer, basically it shows that this is going to be like I don't know if you would call it like the extended edition or like the complete edition, but basically it's like Super Lucky's Tale, but they've added some stuff. You know, so the Switch version is going to be like the best version. So not only does the game look great, like seriously, if you check out the trailer, the game looks really nice. It looks really crisp. But if you read like the key features, little bullet points, it says, you know, that there's going to be camera improvements, better lighting. I think they're going to add more skill levels. They're going to add, I think, a few more levels, that sort of thing. So yeah, you know, if you love 3D platformers and you've been interested in more, or like I said, if you have kind of had your eye on Super Lucky's Tale for a while, but you hadn't played it because it was on Xbox, then luckily it's coming to Switch. So there's no release date, not as of yet, but it does say that it's coming this fall. So I know I'm excited for that. I know I'd like to check it out at some point. Likewise, you know, if this sounds interesting to you, then keep an eye out for it. Moving away from video game news onto movie news, this next news story, like, it's an interesting one, but it's also kind of sad because it's actually something that I had kind of talked about briefly before. And so hearing that this movie got canceled it's kind of depressing, you know? So basically what I'm referring to, as the title of the article states, Mouse Guard director pulls a Deadpool and releases demo of canceled movie. So I don't know how many of you remember, but honestly, it was not even that long ago. I want to say maybe like 10 episodes at max, you know, 10 episodes ago. I talked about Mouse Guard and how it's supposed to be this little fantasy movie about a group of like mice that they're all like, I don't know, you can call them like knights or whatever, you know, like they're a guard. They're like a little team that they go on adventures and they protect like the little kingdom or whatever. And when I first talked about it, I thought it looked cool. I thought it seemed interesting, and definitely they had some good people behind it. You know, they had Andy Serkis doing one of the voices. Idris Elba had just signed on, that sort of thing. So it definitely sounded interesting, you know. It kind of gave me like a Secret of like Nim sort of vibes, you know. Unfortunately, after Fox got bought out by Disney, I know Disney canceled quite a few projects, and unfortunately, Mouse Guard was one of them. And so, yeah, as this article states, I guess the guy who was working on the movie, similar to Deadpool, how before it got made, someone just like accidentally leaked test footage in order to hopefully, get people hyped up and get them interested and get the movie made. I guess this guy had the same idea where he's like, this really sucks. This is a movie that I really want to see, get made. And so I guess he like leaked a bunch of stuff online, hoping that, I guess it'll get attention. And yeah, I mean, I think it's a shame that this movie got canceled, because if you look at like some of the stuff, it looks really cool. If you look at like the, what would you call it? Like concept art, I guess, or key art. I don't know what you would call it. Like, it looks really interesting. Like we got stuff of like, there's this mouse and he's standing, I don't even know what animal it's supposed to be. Maybe like a cat, but it's like this little mouse with a spear, and he's standing right next to like the huge skeleton, and they've made like a bridge out of it. Like, that's pretty cool. There's another picture where it's like this little mouse, and I guess he's like at a dock. You can see other little mice like loading like little ships and stuff. I mean, it looks really nice. And unfortunately, they took down the demo footage, because there was like a video encoded before, but now it says it's unavailable. But yeah, if you try to look for that mouse guard little demo reel, like what they had there was really cool too. Like, it definitely looks really interesting. So yeah, don't really know what to say. I mean, it's a shame that the movie got canceled. I mean, hopefully similar to something like Deadpool, hopefully if enough people look at this and they seem interested, hopefully they bring the project back. But, for now, it sucks that it got canceled, because it seemed like a really good, premise, looked interesting, and I don't know, it seems like it could have been fun. So all I can really say is that I just hope at the best, and hopefully in the future, I can cover some story where the series is coming back. But until then, I guess we'll just have to wait and see, So I don't know. Link in the description below. Check it out. I think it looks really cool. So moving on, this next news story is one that, like, now that I see it going forward, it like fills me with dread. All right. Like, I don't know how to feel about this. So for anyone who remembers, I feel like I've covered it once or twice. They've talked about making a Space Jam sequel / like reboot sort of thing. And supposedly LeBron James is supposed to be the star this time around. And I don't know if I've given my opinion before. I want to say I have, but I'll say it again. I think this is a bad idea. I feel like Space Jam is something very of the time, Like, I feel that Space Jam only works in that context, Like, Space Jam to me just says 90s, Like, like the fact that Michael Jordan was like at his peak and he was like the star in it. The music by like R. Kelly, that since then, stay away from R. Kelly, I guess, but like the music's great. All the other characters, like Bill Murray and Charles Barkley, all these characters, like, I don't know, like Space Jam just feels to me like the perfect 90s movie. And it works, I think, because of like the time it was made. So hearing that they're gonna make a Space Jam 2, like, I don't know, man. Like, I think it sounds like a bad idea. I think having LeBron James as a star sounds like a bad idea, because while he's a good basketball player from what I've seen, like, I know he's like one of the best, I just feel like he's not Michael Jordan, Like, Michael Jordan just feels like he's the type of athlete that even people who don't watch basketball, they know who he is. Like, he's just that, I don't even know what the word for it is, but he's just like that legendary, I guess is the best word for it. And LeBron James, I don't know. I mean, he's popular. He seems cool, but I just feel like he's no Michael Jordan, And like I said, there's that, plus the fact that this is so many years later, and I feel like it's a movie that works very much because of the time. So yeah, seeing that the movie is finally in production, I just don't know how to feel about it, Like, we don't really have any other information, at the moment. They're still looking for like a cast, it seems, and they're looking for other basketball players to make like appearances, that sort of thing. But I don't know, man. Like, I'm not excited for this at all. I'll probably check it out at some point to see how it goes, but I think it's gonna be one of those things that I don't see it doing well, I think it's going to be like Independence Day 2 or something, where they really try to like bring this thing back, but I can see them failing because it just doesn't sound great, But I don't know. Link is in the description below. If you want to read all the details for yourself, go ahead. And if you are excited for this, more power to you. But when it comes to me, like I said, I don't know what to say. I don't have any faith in this. So yeah, let's move on. Moving over to TV news, this next one is an interesting one because apparently Masters of Doom TV show is in the works from the Franco brothers. So yeah, basically what this show seems to be is that there's this book called Masters of Doom, How Two Guys Created an Empire and Transformed Pulp Culture. And apparently this book is about like the making of the Doom series, and it's supposed to be about like the friendship and rivalry of John Carmack and John Romero, which are like the people who like, you know, really got Doom off the ground. And so apparently the Franco brothers, you know, Dave and James Franco, who, you know, made the Disaster Artist, I guess they want to kind of continue in that vein of making like, I guess you'd call it like biographical. I mean, I would say, you know, the Disaster Artist was kind of biographical, I guess. I guess that's what you would call it. So similar to the Disaster Artist, which was an adaptation of Greg Sesteros' memoir about his experiences working on The Room, this book is supposed to be like a memoir sort of thing about, like I said, you know, these two guys who created Doom and like their relationship and like friendship, rivalry, all that good stuff. And so, yeah, I guess the Franco brothers, they kind of want to do something similar to the Disaster Artist. And I guess they're trying to, you know, make this show. And I don't think there's like too much information yet. It just mostly talks about like the two actors, and it talks about like the book, that sort of thing. But, you know, it's interesting. It's definitely a interesting premise. These guys, they definitely have done good work. You know, I think The Disaster Artist was like a really well done movie. I think the acting was really good. So, I mean, if they're in charge of this project, I mean, hopefully, you know, they have another hit. I think that'd be cool. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's something that, it sounds weird, but I would be really interested to check it out. So I'm going to keep an eye out for it. I would suggest the same if you're a fan of the Franco brothers or a fan of Doom, you know, that sort of thing. So yeah, you know, I would just say, you know, let's keep an eye out for it. Hopefully it's good. Only time will tell, but there you go, you know. If you're interested, as always, link in the description below and you can read more details about it. Finally, this last news story, as usual, is an anime news story. And while we don't have too many details quite yet, I still thought it was worth mentioning because it's something that, you know, it's about something that I enjoyed. So, as the title of the article states, Dragon Ball Super Broly may already be getting a sequel. Now, I don't know how many of you watched Dragon Ball Super Broly. If you haven't watched it, you know, I do have a review of it on my channel. We're going to talk about, you know, like the plot, my thoughts, what was good, what was bad, that sort of thing. And, you know, all I can really say is that I enjoyed the movie. You know, like I don't know, I want to say I'm like a super huge Dragon Ball fan, but I do like to follow it here and there because I don't know, like I just think it's a lot of like dumb fun, you know? And as someone who went in with like no expectations and just expected the movie to be, you know, dudes punching each other for like an hour and I was prepared to just enjoy that, I was surprisingly impressed with like this new movie. Because while it does still have a bunch of like dudes punching each other, you know, back and forth and stuff, it actually had like the most storytelling that like Dragon Ball's ever had. You know, like it had themes of like abuse. It had themes of like having a power that you don't want and trying to control that. It had, you know, themes of like sins of the father and, you know, Goku, Vegeta, and Broly kind of dealing with like what their dads did and how that has kind of like shaped the Dragon Ball universe, which like that was really interesting. I thought Broly as a character was really cool. He actually had a personality this time around, you know, like in the originals, he's just this like steroid monkey just running around basically attacking things. But here, you know, he has a personality when he's not, you know, powered up. Like he's actually this meek, shy, naive like Saiyan, which is really interesting, and seeing his friendship with like Shile and Limo, which are like those two aliens, you know, that was really interesting. And so yeah, all I can really say is that if there is a sequel coming, I'm actually pretty excited for it, because I think where this movie left off, it seemed really interesting, you know, it seemed like they were setting some good stuff up, you know, like I would be excited to see more of Broly. I'd like to see more of his friendship with Shile and Limo. I'd love to see how he integrates with the rest of the Dragon Ball cast. And yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I think that sounds pretty cool. You know, I would be interested in watching a new movie. And let me see. There's not like too much information or anything, but you know, based on how well it did, I guess the article talked to Akio Iyoku, I think that's how you say his name, head of the Dragon Ball room over at Shueisha. And apparently he said that his team is steadily making preparations for the next Dragon Ball movie. So yeah, like I said, that's pretty cool. You know, if you're a fan of Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball property in general, I'm sure that's probably exciting to hear. And even if you're not like a big Dragon Ball fan, but as long as you do like anime, you know, enough, I honestly think you'd enjoy this movie. And I think that, you know, hopefully when the time comes, hopefully you're excited for the sequel too, you know? So there you go. Alrighty, with that being said, that brings us to the end of another news week. As always, you know, hopefully there was something there you guys enjoyed, whether it was something, you know, informative, something entertaining. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this news week. If you did, leave a comment in the comment section below, letting me know what you thought. And yeah, moving on to the last section of the podcast, the content creator spotlight. This week's content creator, it's one of those people that I discovered not too long ago, thanks to Dave Maggot, but I've really enjoyed his work in this short time that I've known about him. I am, of course, talking about Ben, aka Cadaver Club. So mostly what he does, I would say that he does a lot of reviews, he does a lot of like unboxings, and he does a lot of edits. When it comes to reviews, he talks a lot about like a lot of horror movies, which is really interesting. Like recently, he talked about The Mutilator. He talked about You Might Be the Killer. He talked about The Hills Run Red. You know, he talks about all sorts of horror movies, like, I don't know, some that I've never even heard of. So that's one thing that I think he does really well. Number two, he does a lot of like unboxing stuff, or he shows off like a lot of merch. So I think that's really cool too. For instance, he just did a video 3 days ago where he showed off his horror haul from Sinister Creature Con. And yeah, I mean, he owns a lot of really cool merchandise. Like in that video, he shows off like some pretty cool prints he bought. He has like some DVDs that got signed by like different people at the convention. He had like, I think it was like a new shirt, that sort of thing. All really cool stuff. In other videos, because he's like a big Godzilla and kaiju fan, he's showed off all sorts of like collectibles and figures and all sorts of merchandise. So that's really cool. Finally, a thing that I think he does that I wouldn't have seen coming, you know, but I think he's great at it, is that he does all sorts of like interesting edits. Like he did a thing about a month ago, you know, around the time of like Game of Thrones hyping up to end, but he called it Game of Traffic Winter is Coming. And it's like this great edit where he's like a motorcycle, he drives a motorcycle, you know, and I guess when he's on the freeway, you know, whenever he's dealing with traffic, like he'll record it and then he turns it into edits. So like in this thing that I'm talking about, it shows him, you know, driving down the road and he's, you know, trying to stay out of the way of all the cars. And so, you know, a car cuts him off. And so what does he do? I mean, maybe he yelled at the time, I don't know. But what he did is that he has this like minute-long video where he edits the car that cut him off in all sorts of situations getting beat up. So it's awesome. Like you watch it and he has the car falling in, you know, like the Game of Thrones universe and people are throwing like stuff at it as it's like marching down the street. And then he has it cut to where there's like this bear attacking it that sends it flying. And then it lands like where the dragons are and a dragon like blows fire at it and blows it up. And like he does all sorts of cool edits like this all the time where basically anytime he's in traffic, he'll add all sorts of graphics and stuff onto it. And the way he does it is like excellent. Like I'm telling you, like when you look at his edits, they're really good. Like it's surprising how good they are. But I think Cadaver Club has some really good content. As I said, he has awesome reviews. He has really cool videos where he shows off his merch. And he has like really cool edits. So yeah, you know, Cadaver Club, if you're listening to this, I think your work is awesome. I think your reviews are really cool because, you know, you always introduce your viewers to like stuff they might not have heard of. I think your like unboxings and showing off your merch, I think that's always really fun. I think you have like a really cool haul of like geek stuff. That's awesome. And finally, I think your edits are like they're like so pro level, you know, like when I look at it, it's like, damn, these are really good edits, and the stuff you do with them, like they always make me laugh because they're really good. So Cadaver Club, keep up the good work. I'm rooting for you. I know you only have 233 subscribers at the moment, but I'm rooting for you so that your channel grows, you get more viewers, more subscribers, that sort of thing. I think your work is excellent. Keep up the good work, man. And same, you know, for anyone listening, check him out, give him some love, you know, check out his stuff, you know, whether you're interested in the reviews or the merchandise or the edits, please just check him out. I think he has a little bit of something for everyone. And, you know, as usual, show him some love. And if you do, tell him that Wannabe Reviewer sent you. So, yeah. Alrighty, with that being said, that brings us to the end of another podcast. That is one more in the bag. As usual, you know, hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Hopefully you guys had fun, whether it was me talking about the news stories, stuff I did this week, introducing you to like the world of Cadaver Club, that sort of thing. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the podcast, and if you did, leave a comment in the comment section below. With that being said, you know, to wrap up, my name is Wannabe Reviewer. I'm the host of this podcast, the Wannabe Podcast, which is, you know, found on Spotify, SoundCloud, Google Play Music, iTunes, YouTube, all that good stuff. Apart from that, you can find me on social media, such as Twitter, at wannabe_review, Instagram, wannabe reviewer, or on twitch.tv/wannabe_reviewer. You know, I will try to be back next week for episode 37. And until then, you know, I just hope that you guys have a wonderful week. This has been Wannabe Reviewer, and I'll catch you guys next time.